Hello and welcome to Frog Manual episode number 9. In this episode we will be assembling a magazine for P226 or 228, 229 type pistols based on Tokyo Marui design. So Tokyo Marui, WE, KJW and so on. You assemble both magazines the exact same way. They have the same amount of parts. The only difference is that the base plate and the shell for 228, 229 type is a bit different, so it's basically shorter and smaller. So I'll be showing the assembly based on a 226 magazine, but 229 or 228 is basically the same, yeah? You just use some different parts. Parts for both versions are published on my Codes account, so you can download and print them as usual. The hardware parts you will need are the same for both types, so both magazines will use the same type of screw, the same type of brass nut and the same length of spring, and the list of materials used for printing is published in the description of this video. Magazines are made of plastic, so they are like 8 times lighter than original, and the capacity for P226 is 15 rounds and capacity for 228, 229 version is 13 rounds, so like the real capacity. Let's dive into the details. So here you see all the parts for the magazine. We have the 3D printed parts, so the outer shell, the base plate. I will explain the materials I use and the reasons in the description. We have the bottom plate lock, follower and feeding lips. Apart from this, we will use an M2 x 16 screw. The M2 brass insert, the outer dimensions are 3 by 3 millimeters, and a piece of the regular spring we use in all the magazines, so outer diameter 6 millimeters, pitch is 3 millimeters, and in this case we need 15 centimeters of that spring. We need to make some first preparation of the assembly, and this goes for the outer shell of the magazine. There is no separate shell and insert. This acts as both shell and insert. For the pistol there is no space to do it separately and no need. What's important is that you really clean this part up properly. What I mean by this, you have the track for the BBs here on the bottom, also for the follower. It has to be really clean. Most likely you will print this in standing orientation, so there might be a lot of stringing going through the part. So you should take some kind of round file, put it in, make sure that it's perfectly clean, then some flat file. And there is this flat portion of the opening here, you see, rectangular one, that you also need to clean, because otherwise the follower arm will not go through smoothly. And only after this cleaning process is done properly, we can make sure that the magazine will work. We should also make sure to throw out all the debris from that cleaning process, because obviously we will be removing some of the plastic, so it will be flying around inside, yeah, and you don't want to get this into your barrel. So when you have this part cleaned properly, we need to mount the brass insert here on the top, and we do it with my usual way. So the brass insert is there, I screw the screw in to catch it, and I'm supporting the rear end with a second screwdriver, so when I screw this screw in, it pushes against that screwdriver and the insert will slide into the shell. And it's done. Actually, you can notice this area looks a little messy on this shell. The reason is because I forgot I need to record this video and I assembled these inserts in all my magazines I was building. So basically I had to remove the insert and put it again for this demonstration, yeah. Right now it will be fairly quick, because what we will do, we take the feeding lips and we slide them here from the side. So there is this little tab with some kind of cam, let's say, on the bottom, or a wedge maybe, and we just slide it here under this arm on the magazine that is pointing out here. So we put it from the side, and then our screw goes back in. Okay, and into the insert. And again, theoretically you don't need the insert, but if you want this to be replaceable, the plastic thread will wear out pretty quickly, because from all my designs these are the smallest feeding lips. Obviously they will withstand what they need to, but if you break them, you know, good to be able to replace it. So right now we will be dropping in all the parts, but before we do it, as with all the springs for the magazines, remember to make one end flat, and the second end you want to make it a little flat, but what's more important, to make it like a spiral when you look from the top, yeah, so that this sharp tip from the cutting of the rest of the spring is not facing outwards and not scratching on the sides of the insert on the BB track. So I'm just gonna push it a little, like this, so you see it's facing inwards, right, not sticking out. And now I can put the follower on that tip, yeah, again make sure that the spring is not sticking out, and just start dropping everything in. So first the follower goes in, then the lock goes in, the spring should go into the lock, and while I'm holding the internal components with my finger, I just slide this base plate over, and here you should be able to see the lock. You see in my case it did not fully sit in, so I'm just gonna wiggle this a bit. In order to help it, you can actually use some tool and push the follower all the way in, because in the final position it will push on the lock, yeah. So right now you see it appeared, yeah. We have this nice orange circle. And the base plate is fixed in place and the magazine is ready. On the front of the magazine you have few holes that indicate the capacity. I did not do a big cutout because this part was too weak to be printed out, and sometimes it could break apart, yeah. So it needed some correction between the left and the right hand side, and in order for you to be able to inspect the BBs, I did these holes. So if you see a BB here, it means 15. If the BB is here only, then 6, and so on and so on. So this was the guide how to build the SIG P226 Fmag, pretty simple one, much simpler than the GBBRs. As this track for the BBs is straight and the capacity is only 15 rounds, you don't really need to format this or put any lube inside. Just squeeze in 15 BBs with dedicated speed loader and you are ready to go. Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, give me a like. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode. Until then, may the power of GBBR be with you.